So we've talked about wides, we've talked about medium heroes. Let's talk about tight shots that reveal the actual ceremony details. So these are typically going to consist of our altar details. So we talked about the sofre in our last example. We talked about the chuppah.
I love. Just pause the video for a moment and just take a moment to just practice that sound. It's a good sound. Chuppah. That's a little exaggerated.
It is. You're a little exaggerated though. So.
And the mandap.
And the mandap. So getting in nice and close to those different elements. Again, going back to that welcome table and getting in closer. So how we're talking about getting just the lettering and then just the floral details. Anything that's on the actual seats. So sometimes there's cards or pamphlets that kind of explain what's going on in the ceremony. And then going into venue details. If you're in a church, you can get the stained glass windows. Again, like the sacrament stuff that's on the actual altar.
That's a big one for me in churches. I find that a lot of times when shooters walk into like a Catholic church, usually the floral setups are not like super ornate.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, there wasn't that much to shoot. No, you shoot the details of the chapel, the statues, the stained glass, like all the different components. Those are the details of that venue.
Yeah.
So just because they don't have florals doesn't mean that you're not shooting them.
Yeah. And then obviously last but not least, the actual floral details that are included.
So in the last one, we had this example where these are medium hero shots basically on the left side. And we said that that's not quite a detail shot. This is a detail shot from a 24-70 at 7mm, 1/1000th f2.8. This is the actual inside petals of these little paper cones. Paper cones? I don't know. So that's getting into what we would call like a tight detail shot for these different scenes. So again, showing different pieces of the altar setup now. We're focusing on different sides of it. This is from a 7200 at 200mm, using this kind of foreground as a leading line, using a little bit of the background to kind of block things in the background. Negative space shots are beautiful. I love these types of shots because they offer so much flexibility in post. They can be used for cards. Vendors can use these. Venues can use these. They can just have a card that's simply text over these things, and you know it makes for a really great image. Also, these close-ups.
Yeah, remember that your clients are paying for these flowers, and sometimes they're super expensive. So you want to make sure you get tight shots of those floral details.
Totally. We talked earlier about the backs of the chairs, making sure those are shot. Notice once again, the same rules apply for like showing too much grass versus too much carpet versus too much ground in general is not a good thing. So notice how we're cropping the chairs so that we can kind of show the backs of the chairs and setup and everything without getting a lot of grass and ground that makes a shot look empty.
Yeah.
So again, a floral shot that kind of features the chairs as a background and a close-up of these details. So when we get in tight and we're revealing details, we were looking to mind all of our basics. We're also looking for the following. Mistakes that photographers make a lot is shooting too shallow. What happens when you shoot these at like 85 and 1.2?
You're only gonna get like one portion of a flower in focus.
Yeah, it's like a sliver of a detail.
Yeah.
Like it's too little, especially when you're shooting down a line of something and you can barely see where the focus is at. It's just too shallow.
Yeah.
So when you're going for these shots, you know, somewhere around f1.2 is fine if you're standing a little further back. Otherwise, stay a little bit safer. F2, f2.8.
Yeah.
Those are good.
I'm usually
settings.
on a prime. I'm at f2 when I'm shooting tighter stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next is undefined subjects, and this goes back to that issue that we had earlier. What's the issue here?
So you can see on the image on the left that you're completely blocking out a portion of the setup.
We'll
But
go back to that, choosing what it is that you're
Yeah.
trying to show.
Find the coconuts. But on the image on the right, you can see both the foreground element that we were kind of talking about before. If you're going to incorporate it so that it leads into the scene and does not conceal a portion of the decor.
Yeah, the one on the left, I'm like, well, was this a shot of like the corner of the altar? Was it a shot of the lanterns?
Yeah.
Or was it a shot of the flowers that are leading up to the lanterns? I don't get it. So decide and make sure the composition fits accordingly. Okay, so a couple real wedding examples of these tight shots. Well, going back to the sofre, this is where things are going to differ a little bit. So for a Persian wedding, you have the sofre. Now, every item on this table should be photographed independently, as well as making sure that you have the wide hero shot of the sofre itself, right? The reason is each one of these items has a significance in that ceremony. For example, the eggs, they represent fertility and children. The sugar represents, so these powdered sugar right here in the middle represents sweetness and love that's going to be poured over the marriage. The honey similarly is representing feeding each other sweetness and love as they're going to feed each other the honey at one point during the ceremony. So all these pieces have significance. We need to make sure that we get a good detail shot of each one.
Yeah.
In addition to that significance, the vendor that does this, look at how much work is going into this stuff. Like these are like real eggs that they
Yeah,
are
like super
decorating.
ornate, yeah.
Like that's crazy. Like this is a lot of work. So you want to make sure that you capture each of these components in addition to the hero shot.
Yeah.
So these are all in a 7200 at 150 millimeters, 1400 f2.8 and ISO 100.
So if you're using a different lens, like a prime for a situation like this is kind of where we're talking about bump up your aperture so that you're not only getting like one of the beads on the eggs in focus.
For sure. Want to go through this one? This is that Mundup scene, right?
Yeah. So if you look at the first one on the left, that's a great example of using foreground as a part of a storytelling component in an image, because it's showing off two vendors at once, the rental company and the florist, and everyone's going to want to use that image because it just shows off the scene really well. And you have that square croppability factor that we mentioned. The cards that are on the chairs, just getting in, again, you're using compositional elements for foreground, and you're not just showing the grass or showing a top-down shot of just like a white seat with a card on it.
But if you were to look at this and say, like, what are we focusing on that shot? The cards or the chairs? What would you say?
The chairs.
Yeah, it's a chair shot for sure, because once we're going to get the card, we're going to go in tight so you can actually read it.
And then our last one, just to that's like a super, super tight detail shot. These are the types of things that I don't think a lot of guys would see.
Yeah. So I took these shots, and it took me a long time to understand that, like, you know, somebody had to go in and decide on this type of tie-off for the
instead of like
for the runners, like
a
the
zip tie.
Yeah, like this was a decision that was made, and I was like, that's really cool. So you need to watch for those kind of things. And I used to miss that all the time. But I've gotten used to the point where I'm like, okay, if they put effort in deciding which of these things should be used, they need to be photographed. So getting a tight shot like that. So that's it for the details. Now, in these real wedding examples, we probably have 20 to 30 different tight details that we're going to be delivering. We want to keep this course digestible and not 15 hours long, which is why we're just kind of showing the basics. But the principle is what I want you guys to remember. So wide, you set the scene. Medium, you capture your heroes. Tights, you go in for the details of each of these different design decisions that are made throughout the entire setups. Then we're going to go to putting it all together in the next video. Anything else to add?
Wide, medium, tight.
I still can't do that, right? I'm not going to try.
Next video.
Bye.